how to effectively control the mind. In reality, the mind is not real. The mind does not exist. If you look for the mind, you'll never be able to find the mind. The mind is just a ghost that hasn't been confronted. And so when you confront the mind, it vanishes. When you don't confront the mind and you're held hostage to what it tells you, the mind becomes bigger and stronger. Every time you look into the nature of the mind and try to find the mind cannot be found and the mind disappears. When you try to control the mind by other means other than surrender, the mind gains strength because you're continuously feeding it and trying to control it. And that control is only going to make the mind stronger. Every time you surrender and you let go, your attention is taken off the mind. And so slowly the mind starts to die. And when the mind starts to die, the inner spirit starts to come to life and it shines through. And when the inner spirit starts to shine through, everything in your life becomes bright. There's a harmony that takes place in every action that you take. Because the light of the Spirit is shining and making everything brighter. But if your mind has overpowered you, then the mind becomes like a black hole. Everything that you touch becomes a failure. Everything that you do has a problem within it. And so the most effective way for a person to make their life better is by developing a surrendered state of mind. Every time you consciously decide to let go, the mind starts to relax. As the mind starts to relax, the thoughts start to settle. And when the thoughts start to settle, the purity of the mind shines forward. And when the purity of the mind shines forward, purity of life is seen through the pure mind. And you can say that in a way it becomes heaven on earth. Because the pure mind is seeing earth for what it is and not through the filter of fear, doubt, excessive desire for worldly objects. And so the fastest way we can surrender is by asking ourselves, who am I? And realizing that I is just a thought. And that my identity is beyond thought. The moment you realize that you are not your thoughts, the desire to control your thoughts becomes greatly reduced. Because why waste your time controlling your mind when that's not even you? So you can say that one of the most effective ways of controlling the mind is by disidentifying from the mind, by realizing that we are not our mind. Yes, our mind might be sharing information with us that's valuable, but if you're driving a car and your navigation system tells you to go here or to go there, you don't confuse the identity of the navigation system with you. You're still independent of that navigational system. And so the mind is a navigational system in a way that's here to help navigate us through life. But we are not the navigation system. The navigation system is a very, very tiny part of who we are. And so in a way, the mind is a very, very tiny part of who we actually are. But when we see the mind as a much bigger aspect of who we actually are, then we get caught in it and we get ruled by it. So the most effective way of becoming free from the mind is by taking a look at the mind, an honest look, and seeing that I am not the mind. I am a witness of the mind. But in no way is that me. And having this attitude slowly will dislodge yourself from the mind. There's no faster and effective way of becoming free from the mind other than by seeing that we are actually not the mind. If you actually search and try to look for the mind will vanish and cannot be found. Now, how can one be something that vanishes upon looking for it? And who is that which is looking for the mind? That's who we are. That which is aware of the mind. But not the mind itself. And by continuously applying this inquiry, we will start to become free from our mind and awaken to a wonder way greater than the mind ever thought was possible.